Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. Today I have a special message for you. The name of this video is It's Over. And many things are ending right now, and I want to go deeper into this, especially the conflict within yourself. It's something that we are ending through phases. Through phases we are ending certain conflicts, and the byproduct is healing, right? As the month is slowly transitioning into a new month, this is the last day of October, we are entering into a month of November, the 11th month on the present calendar. Also, the season is transitioning into the darker phase of the year, leads into the darkest phase of the year on the northern hemisphere, which invites us into a bit slower pace, where we have more time to acknowledge our inner conflicts so we can heal. And inner conflicts are tensions within our bodies. We all have them. We all have certain conflicts. Some are caused because of certain emotional incoherence coming from certain limiting beliefs and certain stories and whatever happened to us. And others are because of genetic memories and epigenetic memories, right? So through this darker phase of the year, we have more time to acknowledge these things, to chill, to calm down, and to prepare for the next season where we start thriving in a new light. That's the purpose of this winter season. That's why animals go to sleep, because in sleep we are rejuvenating, right? As the Lama said, the best possible meditation you can do is to sleep, to have a good sleep. So we are entering into this darker phase of the year. And firstly, before we start, I want to remind you to acknowledge the conflict that may be happening within your body and learn to make peace with it. A conflict causes you to have tension within you. And healing starts with intention, within tension, right? When you draw awareness and acknowledgement through kindness and appreciation to these areas of yourself, you allow them to relax and feel safe within you. And the feeling of being safe is home for rejuvenation. Isn't that so? When you feel safe, you relax. And when you relax, you feel at peace. And when you feel at peace with yourself, what happens? A release happens. If you do it correctly, tears will start flowing out of your eyes, and you may say, oh, what's happening to me? What's happening? You're healing. That's why they say tears are a natural form of healing. So, my friends, how are you doing today? As every single day I bring to you a message, today's one is really beautiful one to me because, every time we have these transitions, we had a powerful full moon, we've been talking a lot about this. Now we are entering into a new month, and each month brings us new energy, as November is this 11th month right now on this present calendar. Number 11 is quite mystical, right? Many of you may be familiar with it, but if we go deeper into this number, we recognize it's made out of two ones. And on binary code, number 1 represents manifestation, it represents potential, it represents matter that evolves out of infinite field, out of zero, right? That's why they have, when we look at the binary code, we have zeros and ones. 0 is infinite potential, and 1 is then a manifestation of something we observe. In quantum physics, there's a saying that the act of observer always creates something that is possible to see, which means that your observation is creating what you're seeing. But it's a deep and complex concept to think about. So I want to just remind you that most of your observation when you're observing life may arise out of your internal state. And when there's tension within you, when there's, let's say, conflict within you, you will see a lot of that conflict outside of you because that's how you're used to live your life. And I just want to remind you of that, as today I'm sharing with you this painting of love. At the end of the painting, you will see a woman walking into this heart-formed cloud into the light. And it just represents a transition of a person. You know, every time we do a creative transformation, and we're doing them all the times, if we're doing the inner work and expanding our awareness around our patterns and our thoughts, beliefs, ideas, intentional acts, and so on, we're constantly transforming. That's something we're constantly talking about here on this channel. This painting represents this creative transformation, and it is happening through love. Without love, we're only chasing something, right? Without love, we're always forcing something. We want to control things because we notice that they're out of control. We notice nature is out of our control, so we try to control it. We notice our body is out of control, so we try to control it. We notice people around us may be out of control, so we try to control them. That's what we do when we're lacking love. So love is not something mystical, and at the same time it is. But love is then this inner fire that awakens within us. You know, when we start observing life from this state of deeper equilibrium. So if you observe the fire, you recognize that a gentle wind can start messing with it, right? And fire will start dancing a little bit to wind. But when wind is too strong, it can turn off the fire. And that's what happens to us. You know, our environment may be like a wind to us. When there are people around us that are constantly complaining and judging and, you know, thinking and saying and sharing negativity and so on, they can be like a wind for our inner fire, and they can shut it off. And it's happening to many people. That's why they turn off their love. If fire is love, if you shut it off, you become what? You become a victim. You start reacting to life. You get into fight or flight. When there's no love, you can only protect yourself or fight with what's happening. Isn't that so? And when we get into that state of fight or flight with lacking love, we recognize that we're never at peace with ourselves. We're constantly in conflict with something. But this conflict is not actually external, it happens within ourselves. We recognize, we start tensing our muscles unconsciously, subconsciously, and sometimes even consciously. We recognize every time I'm afraid, I start squeezing certain muscles. If we are doing that for a longer period of time, we recognize that those muscles just stay squeezed. That's why we are so tense, right? That's why if you're stretching your body, you're releasing traumas, you're releasing that tension from your body. And by stretching, you're already introducing yourself to the concept of self-love, which means giving awareness back to yourself, acknowledging your own pain. That's already love, right? Love is understanding that starts with listening, that starts with observation. So when people are talking about self-love, they're talking about self-observation through a lens of compassion. And that is sometimes a challenging thing to do if we are constantly thinking about how to change something and how to force something into change and how to control something. We have to look at everything more holistically and recognize that everything is connected to everything else. So if I want to actually heal a certain part of my body, I need to acknowledge it. And I need to recognize that it doesn't start with where it is right now. It started a long time ago when I was healthy. And then I've started doing something that was unhealthy for me, and I was not aware that it was unhealthy, and I was doing it for such a long time that the healthy part of myself turned into a disease. And now we are observing a certain part of our bodies that may be out of coherence, and we may say, well, it's a problem. But it's not a problem, it's a byproduct of what we were doing unconsciously in the past because of a certain conflict within us. And that's why each season allows us to take care of something that is the most appropriated at that season. And when we are entering into this darker part of the year, it is inviting us into our own darkness. Darkness is not negative or bad, even though there's many demons inside it. But demons exist because we've suppressed them. If you suppress something positive, it can turn into negative, right? Even if you may have a beautiful cat, and that cat may be all kind and blissful. But if you put that cat into a dark box and leave it there for a long time, that cat will become angry. That cat will soon start acting like it's evil, only because it wants to come out of the box. And when you let it out of the box, it will act like crazy, because it became crazy in that darkness. You closed it in, now you leave it out, and you're wondering why that cat is crazy. That's a demonstration of our own inner demons. When we acknowledge them, like when we acknowledge our flaws or our negative behaviors, we may think like, what's wrong with us? But it's just a byproduct of suppression that happened through years because we haven't paid enough attention to ourselves. That's how we notice that everything is connected to everything else. And healing starts with acknowledgement of our inner conflict. And inner conflict is that tension that we feel. If you have a daily practice where you're just in tune with your body and you start feeling your body and you recognize, oh, there's tension maybe within my stomach area, around a certain organ, and you listen to that part of yourself, your body will start speaking back to you. Maybe not immediately, because it doesn't feel safe. Why your body doesn't feel safe? Because you're constantly pushing it to something. You're constantly trying to be somebody else. Or you're constantly not being okay with who you are. That's why your body doesn't feel safe. When your body doesn't feel safe, it will not be speaking to you. Again, like a kid. If a kid will not feel safe with you, that kid will be shy and close down. Isn't that so? So once we recognize that, we have to learn to feel safe within our bodies. That's how we start making the progress on healing, any healing. And to learn to feel safe within ourselves, we need to start accepting ourselves, right? And as I said, a conflict causes you to have tension within you. And healing starts with intention within tension. So it's a beautiful playfulness, like a poetry when we think about it. But when we go deeper into attention, like in yoga is a beautiful demonstration of that, because when you get into a certain pose that is a bit painful and unpleasant, what you're doing, you start breathing into that pain. And breath is life. So you're bringing breath, you're bringing life into that pain. And after one practice, not much may change. But after 10 years of that practice, you will notice that there is no pain anymore in your body, because you brought light into that area. You brought life into that area of your body. It's something I was sharing with you 2 videos ago about the cold therapy, something I'm doing now for 3 years. I've noticed, now when I go into the cold water, it's still unpleasant, but it's not so unpleasant as it was in the past, because I've become more familiar with this unpleasant sensation that I experience. I still feel a sense of fear when it comes to the cold water, because I was never used to it. I was always more of I rather like summer and warm weather and things like that. So the cold part was something really scary for me. And when I've started exposing myself to it, I started acknowledging it. I become a better friend to that unpleasant part of myself. So it's not just that it became a little bit more pleasant. I've lost a fear of it. I've stopped fearing myself feeling like that. And when we lose that fear, it's like setting our demons free. We free ourselves. So fear is this part of us that makes us feel that we have to be in conflict, that we are not enough, that we should change for somebody else to accept us, that we should do things differently. Sure, it shouldn't take away our enthusiasm for growth, for transformation, for change. But not feeling enough is not a right reason to change. The best reason to change is the curiosity for what more can I become, right? But when not feeling enough, not being enough is a reason for change, then we will never be enough, right? That's why I said healing starts with intention within tension. When you feel tension within you because you're not okay with yourself, because you don't love yourself, because you don't like yourself, it's tension. Recognize where it is. Sometimes around your hips, right? Maybe you should dance a little bit more or stretch a little bit more. When you recognize where that tension is, can you draw now awareness to it? How does it feel? Especially when you challenge that part a little bit. You've trained yourself to rather not challenge the pain because it's unpleasant. But the work of consciousness works to challenge the unpleasant until it becomes pleasant. That's how you bring awareness to the pain and acknowledgement through kindness and appreciation. So when you do it through kindness, when you go into a cold water with kindness, I'm not doing it because I want to be tough. I'm doing it because I want to know myself better. So you can do it out of kindness. You can do it out of love. You do it something unpleasant out of appreciation. Okay, I want to appreciate also my darkness because it's part of me. If anyone here is without any darkness within, let me know. It's within us. It's part of us. And it's completely okay. Look, nature has the equilibrium of light and darkness. That's how everything can exist because of this coexistence. So it's part of life. But if we are suppressing our own darkness, it gives life to demons, right? And even demons are not, something bad. There's something that needs to be released, like a cat that I've explained before. When you release them, they will find their own way. And eventually they will turn into whatever they need to turn into. Those are just natural forces. Like, like a seed that eventually turns into a flower, like a thought. Thought is a seed that eventually turns into something if we entertain it for a long period of time and give it space and give it an opportunity to explore what can actually happen out of it. Like when you have a thought of having a successful business, you entertain it for a certain period of time and soon you will start reading books about business, and soon you will start maybe going to certain workshops and maybe introduce yourself to certain groups of people who already have successful businesses, and soon you will start working on your own business. And if you stay consistent enough, eventually you will build your own business. That's how it grows into something. As, everything turns into something through time. So it just depends if we allow these darker parts of us to actually turn into something beautiful. So when you have fears and you have those doubts and you have certain negative thoughts. Don't avoid them. Don't suppress them. Acknowledge them. Maybe recognize from where they are coming from, but never be defined by them. Those are part of you, but they are not you. So nothing is you until you define yourself with it. Once you understand that, you will not be afraid of anything else, because what you recognize doesn't make you any more connected with it. You just acknowledge yourself that it's present, but it's not you. So, when you have these negative thoughts about yourself, know that it's not who you are. You've been defined by that because because you knew nothing better than that. When you read a book about maybe how to change your mindset, you will notice how little you knew about your own mindset, right? And eventually you can transform your mind into a garden that has space for flowers. And then you stop chasing butterflies because they come naturally. So I just wanted to acknowledge you as we're slowly transitioning into a fresh new month, to acknowledge the conflict that may be happening within your body and learn to make peace with it. And I want to remind you, as I am a work in progress, I'm recognizing, well, every single year I just know a little bit better how to make peace with myself. I'm learning. And sometimes it feels like I'm not making any progress until some months pass by and I've noticed, actually, I've done a lot of progress. At the times when I couldn't notice it, I was still doing it. And when years will pass by, you will notice, if you haven't stopped working on it, you're just getting smarter, wiser, more aware, more intelligent, and more human, right? More being. And you're becoming more human being, right? And less of a program of pain and suffering. And that is a beautiful transformation. So my friends, I hope you've enjoyed in today's message. Maybe it was a bit more poetic, maybe a bit more complex, but playful one. I had a great joy doing that. So my friends, I hope you've enjoyed in today's artwork as well. To anyone who would love to support my art, we are running a unique sale, 20 off to all of my art. So go there and check it out. The link is in the description of this video. Thank you so much for your support. Until next time. Bye.